That's right. It's time for another riveting edition of the Red, Gold, and Bold podcast. With you as always, Jeff Chadiha, Sam McDowell. I'm Soren Petro. As we talk Chiefs football, Eric Bieniemy is back. The first depth chart is out for the Kansas City Chiefs. Unofficial. I will add Rashee Rice talks. What did he say? What would it take for the Chiefs to keep Rashee Rice going into 2027? Trey Smith missing multiple practices. Kahlil Benson at guard means what? How does Emmanuel Ogbah help the Chiefs? Why the Chiefs need to fix third down in the red zone. We're talking about it right here, right now on the Red, Gold, and Bold.
You are listening to the Red, Gold, and Bold podcast, the most in-depth analysis of the Kansas City Chiefs on planet Earth, breaking down the Chiefs like no one else can. Red, Gold, and Bold is hosted by Jeff Chadiha, Sam McDowell, and Soren Petro. Jeff Chadiha is a senior columnist and on-air personality for the NFL Network and NFL.com. Sam McDowell is a columnist for the Kansas City Star. Soren Petro is the afternoon drive host of the program on Sports Radio 810 WHB in Kansas City. The Red, Gold, and Bold podcast is proudly brought to you by Gann Asphalt and Concrete, Kansas City's nationally recognized full-service paving and pavement maintenance contractor, making parking lot problems disappear in Kansas City since 1994. Free consultations, no commissions, in-house crews, and every project comes with a written warranty. Find them online at GannAsphalt.com or call 816-484-3338. Gann Asphalt and Concrete, one contractor, all things parking lot. Now, here are the hosts of the Best Chiefs podcast, Jeff Chadiha, Sam McDowell, and Soren Petro.
Thank you very much, Curtis. We do appreciate it. Talking some Chiefs football here on a Tuesday night, live at 9:30 If you're catching us via the podcast, remember you can be a part of the conversation. Got a lot of people already lined up wanting to chat tonight on the Kansas City Chiefs, 9:30 Central is when we go live on Tuesdays, 10 a.m. on Fridays. Gentlemen, let's dive right into it. We begin with the return of Eric Bieniemy. Sam, how noticeable was it when he headed back out on the field?
Yeah, I mean, it's distinct when Eric Bieniemy is part of practice. I mean, first of all, it's great to see him back. I mean, and not just because of his presence, but because of what it means, presumably, for Mia Bieniemy. I mean, I don't think he would be backing Kansas City or St. Joe if that situation was as dire as it was, the day that the incident occurred. So it's great to have him back for that reason. So when you were in the room when Vahe asked Brett Veach about Eric Bieniemy, he told a great story about the fact that they were live streaming him into practice. That's how important they thought it was for him to be part of practice. And Brett Veach is one of the only guys who's really allowed to carry his phone on the field. Like Andy doesn't allow coaches to have their phones on the field. And Eric Bieniemy called him during practice and he said, put coach on the phone. And he did. And he said, Emmett Johnson needs to line up 8 yards behind the quarterback. He's not lining up right. Like, that is his attention to detail, watching it on a screen from the all-22 version, and just thought it was that important that he needed to interrupt practice and call the head coach. They need that. Like, that's what we've talked about all summer, right? That is sort of attention to detail. And that's where you notice it's back. I mean, because his voice is obviously a presence.
I think, Jeff, also you just want to get everybody in place for where they're going to be for the regular season. I mean, everybody needs to get into their role and start being familiar. I mean, there's a reason why you go to training camp. It's not nearly as long as it used to be when they would play 6 preseason games and go to camp 5-6 weeks before it. It's a much more hurried process now. So they need, everybody in the role that they're going to be in, and now everybody slots back into their job, and they can get some normalcy and some regularity to what it is they're trying to accomplish.
That, and I think it's an expectation thing that I think what Sam is speaking to and Eric Bieniemy was doing was saying, here's the expectation: you're going to do it right, and we're not going to slack and let you get away with even a 1 yard, 2 yard, whatever difference it was, and where he was lining up. Because that's not going to get it done anymore. You can't get away with just making a mistake here, not being on your P's and Q's somewhere else, and win championships. If you want to compete for championships, yeah, you could do it 4 or 5 years ago. A guy could drop a pass, a guy could make a penalty, you could make up for it. And I think Eric Bieniemy is trying to tell everybody through the live stream, when he's there in person, that this is what we need to do to get back to where we want to be. And so I think that's what's important here. I think it's the whole point of him being here is culture. I know it's, the run game and X's and O's are part of this, but ultimately it's about establishing a culture of winning again, of winning at a high level.
I know DeMarco Murray's the running back coach, but Eric Bieniemy's been one of the best running back coaches, in recent years. So I don't think it's a shocker that he's going to have his eye very closely on that running back spot. And that is, we know they want to run the football better. I mean, that is a big part of what he's going to do, is make sure that the running backs, not only Emmett Johnson, but also transitioning to Kenneth Walker, making sure that there's a seamless, that the offensive line gets what Kenneth Walker's trying to accomplish. I mean, he is, I know Andy Heck is the run game coordinator, but the running back coordinator is still Eric Bieniemy, right? Like, in addition to the offensive coordinator, the running backs are always going to be his baby, Sam.
Yeah, and I mean, let's face it, it's what the three of us have talked about is key to their offensive resurgence this year is getting more production out of the running game. The only way you can run the ball more often is if it's effective. It doesn't make any sense to run the ball a ton if the defense doesn't respect it. And so, like, getting your running game back in order is also, to me, the key to unlock the passing game as well. And you're right. I mean, you look at Chicago, and obviously Ben Johnson runs the ball differently, but it's very clear, I think, when Eric Bieniemy has his fingerprints on an offense, because you see just the purpose that running backs run with. You see the purpose in the way it's blocked, and the Chiefs are built for that. Like, this offense is built to execute that.
Yeah, well, and I'd say this too, and I said this last week about the mentality of running the football, and I said, you want to see more fights in practice. That's when it's getting instilled. And guess what you're seeing now? More social media clips of Kenneth Walker fighting everybody he can, right? Anytime he gets taken to the ground, he's throwing the football at somebody or jumping on something. The linemen are getting into it more. Yeah, it's hot, but this is what happens when you start saying we're going to run the football more. And it's that Spagnuolo mentioned it in practice too, that we're seeing more run plays. Yeah. I want to see more physicality from my guys, because we're not going to sit around and get run over in practice. And so that's what you need to build if you want to actually be serious about the run game helping your quarterback.
Jeff mentioned that was a real key. That really stood out to me sitting there in St. Joe today, was when Steve Spagnuolo said, we're seeing a lot more runs. Like, Andy Reid can say it, even Eric Bieniemy can say it, position coaches could say it, players could say it. The other defensive coordinator is saying, we're seeing a lot more runs in practice. And to me, that's more of a sign than anything that your eyes see that Andy Reid says as the other D coordinators. Like, obviously, we're seeing more runs, like as if it's just an assumed thing.
Yeah, and Terry says the same thing. I want to see more power runs, less RPO. I think that's definitely one of the things that I think we're all looking for out of this, is to see them, actually be more effective when it comes to running the football. And that's one of the things that they're going to have to get figured out, and I think you can only do it by practicing, and that's why we're seeing more of that activity go on. Is like, I don't think you could just say, well, we want to run the ball. You've got to practice running the ball. I don't think you want a bunch of fist fights and everything. I think it's okay to have a little push and shove and all that, but nothing gets done. Andy Reid's a guy who wants the tempo of practice. He's got a lot of things he wants to get done. Can't have a 5-minute delay to break up a fight all the time. And for the most part, we haven't seen that. Sam, you've been at all the practices. I've only been at a couple, but I don't see anywhere, it's like, oh my God, we're taking 5 minutes to get everybody off the field. We got to get the equipment guy over here to fix this guy's chin strap because it got ripped off. We haven't seen any of that, but I think there is a fine line. You want some testiness, you want some physicality, you want some aggressiveness, but you also want to get things done.
Yeah, the one maybe exception to that, and I don't know if it was 5 minutes, but on Saturday, I think the most intense fight we've seen, it was with Kingsley Suamati and Felix Anudike-Uzomah, two guys who are not like fiery personalities or emotional players on the field, got into it to where Andy Reid was actually the one separating him, and then Joe Cullen came in. And to your point, Soren, about his distaste for that sort of thing interrupting practice, I noticed on the next drill, which is supposed to be a 7-on-7 drill, it turned into an 8-on-7 drill because Felix Anudike-Uzomah is being told, you're doing every rep. I don't care if it's 7-on-7. You're now dropping in coverage, and they're running 8. And it was like 5 or 6 straight plays. And I could just hear Andy Reid's voice in the back of my head, sending a message to FAU saying, all right, you got enough energy to fight. You're going to have enough energy to go ahead and run the rest of this drill too.
But you know what, though? Again, I don't mind that. And
I don't either. I agree with you.
And I think, Sam, you see more camp than we have than, the last few years. It feels like there's a lot more fights than the last 2 or 3 years.
There's more edge to practice.
You don't get those kind of fights when it's 7-on-7, it's 1-on-1s, and it's all these pretty passes. It's guys get angry, and you want to instill that for when they get into real game situations. Like we're going to go until guys want to punch us in the face, and we're going to test you every which way we can. And the only way you can create that is by pushing that limit.
Drew Tranquill has missed the last week or so with the back. That's not a serious thing, but he's missed the last week or so. But he's a guy during practice that intentionally teeters on that edge. And I think it's purposeful to say, I know we're teammates here, but there needs to be an edge to practice all the time. And that the first Kenneth Walker incident where he threw the ball to Drew Tranquill doesn't hit him hard, but he hits him unexpectedly and just kind of bumps him and just jogs away. And you're sure that's why Walker's pissed off, is like, dude, you're not going to act like you didn't just hit me. Yeah. And I think Tranquill is like, no, there should be an edge. Yep. And I mean, if you know Drew Tranquill, all three of us have talked to him. I mean, he is the nicest guy, but I just think there should be an edge to practice, to what Jeff is saying.
Yeah, I think it's a good point. The depth chart was out. Anything you want to take away from the unofficial depth chart that has been released? Anything jump at you? One, I think the first thing that the fans would say is Jalen Moore is at right tackle. We'll talk more about Kahlil Benson and him playing some guard over there, but I think that would jump at people pretty quick, that they put Jalen Moore up there at right tackle. Anything else jump at you, Sam, from what we see on this first depth chart?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's clear that those of us at practice watch more plays than the PR staff that compiles the depth chart. They have a tough job because you have to not irritate your own coaches, but also put out something that is realistic to those people who do watch practice all the time. I mean, it really is. I don't want to say meaningless because it has some merit. It doesn't come out of nowhere. But Andy Reid could not care less what their depth chart actually says going into the preseason game. Brashard Smith is not the fourth running back. He's running as the second string running back frequently. L'Jarius Sneed is listed as a starter. He has not taken a single rep in team contact drills. So he's not a starter right now. He might be, but he doesn't even practice in nearly a week. And then, the Kahlil Benson was the first string right tackle until Trey Smith went out. And now he's been playing guard, and Jalen Moore's been playing tackle. So that's true of the last, few days.
Yeah. Anything jump at you, Jeff, from what you saw on how they put this together? Again, L'Jarius Sneed, Sam just mentioned, he's up there with the starters. I think some people might be. Jaden Kennedy is down on the third row of the cornerbacks. Christian Fulton, who's not practicing, is up on the second row. Mansour Delane on the second team. They obviously would like to have him on the first team, but he's been in a no contact jersey. Anything jump at you from this first one?
Oh, and I was laughing when we started doing our prep for this, because I went to the ESPN depth chart first, and they had Kahlil Benson at right tackle.
Yeah,
and I think they still do have him at right tackle. But no, this stuff does not matter to me at all. And I agree with Sam. It's just the coaches don't care about this at all. I mean, they're going to figure out who the best 22 are. And ultimately, there's so many question marks that this camp really – I'm trying to think of the last time they had a camp this competitive since Andy Reid's been the coach, even going back to before Patrick Mahomes, because it just feels like there's so many questions. There's so many different spots. Obviously, within the secondary being a big part of that, and the depth at receiver being a big part of that, and the right tackle situation, that it's just, I think it's going to be fascinating to see how it plays out. So what it is now, I think, doesn't really matter. What it is on September 7th and 8th is what really matters.
Oh, okay. So you're saying the regular season matters more. Okay. Yeah. I'm glad we got that cleared up.
I mean, I just feel like that. I don't watch them every day, but it feels like every time I hear a report, it's like these guys are running with the ones now, and these guys with the twos, and it just doesn't really. I think we know who the starters are going to be.
I think we have a pretty good idea. Yeah. I think it's the back end of the roster that we're trying to figure out here moving forward. All right, we'll take a quick break. We come back. Rashee Rice spoke at the podium. What to take away from Rashee Rice? We'll do it after you hear from our friends at Gain Asphalt and Concrete. Your parking lot says a lot about your business. Cracks, potholes, faded striping, and damaged concrete can create safety concerns and leave the wrong impression with customers. Gann Asphalt and Concrete helps Kansas City businesses protect their properties with asphalt paving, seal coating, crack filling, parking lot striping, concrete work, and repairs. Their experienced crews deliver quality workmanship and dependable service on every project. Whether you need routine maintenance or a complete parking lot overhaul, Gann is ready to help you. Get started today with a free estimate at GannAsphalt.com. Gann Asphalt and Concrete, one contractor, all things parking lots. Italian Delight was the first restaurant to bring true New York-style pizza to Kansas City almost 50 years ago. They sell whole pies or pizza by the slice, or enjoy their classic strombolis, calzones, and sausage rolls. Sandwich lovers, check out their lineup of hot and cold subs, the combo, the meatball, or the Philly cheesesteak, just to name a few. And don't forget the pasta. Their famous lasagna and classic chicken Alfredo always hit the spot. And if you're hungry for lunch, check out their daily lunch specials, starting at under $10. Italian Delight can even cater your next work function or party. Dine in, carry out, or delivery, it's Italian Delight. Located just 3 minutes east of Kansas Speedway at 8145 State Ave in KCK. Check out the menu and order online at ItalianDelightKS.com. Kansas City's own Italian Delight. By the way, saw some of the chatter in the chat room. Already Renee selling pies during the Red Gold and Bold catering downtown. So pretty impressive right there.
Our chat room is lively tonight.
Yeah, it's football season.
There's a lot going on, man. People are fired up. Should they be fired up about Rashee Rice talking today, Sam? He's shrinking the circle. Got to be about football. Learn some valuable lessons. What'd you think when you heard his conversation today?
Yeah, I mean, he's been learning those lessons for 2 years now. I mean, yeah. I think I may have mentioned this on your show. I actually went back to the exact dates and found his previous press conferences because they were so similar in message to me in tone and also in date. And it was August 6th of 2024 where he said, you just mentioned his circle. He said, I'm going to continue to surround myself with people who allow me to grow. That could have been pulled straight out of today's press conference.
Yeah, exactly.
A year later, on August 1st of last year, he said, I've completely changed. Honestly, you've got to learn from things like that. That could be pulled from today's press conference. Like at some point, and Rashee Rice has really blown far past this point. It's like, it's not about the words at a press conference. It's about the decision he sandwiches, in the other 364 days. Like, it's time for him to prove it with his actions, or really, I mean, lack thereof. Like, it's time for him to prove it with silence about all the non-football stuff. And it's just telling that when he steps to the podium on those 3 days, I'm not asking any football questions about a guy who's pretty dang key in a football sense to this team.
You think he's figured it out, Jeff, that this time the lesson is taken?
Well, I look in the chat room, people picked up on what I was thinking, which is the growth of weed. You may be thinking about getting the hydroponic. Is that what they call it when you're making your own in-home process of?
You're obviously talking to Sam because I know you're not asking me.
Man, I have.
Yeah, well, Sam went to Mizzou. You should know these things. No, I don't trust Rashee Rice at all. I think that actions speak louder than words. He's had a lot of opportunities to let that be the case, and his actions, unfortunately, have said really bad things about him. And so I just don't know. I've covered this league for almost 30 years, and I've seen a lot of guys like Rashee Rice. And what usually ends up happening with guys like Rashee Rice is they end up wearing out their welcome at their first team, and either they figure it out somewhere else or they vanish from the league. And he's not a talented enough player to have done the stuff he's done and to be thinking, oh, if he has a good year, you resign and everything's right. I just think you're asking for all kinds of problems. Look at it this way. George Pickens probably he hadn't been to jail as far as I know, but he's certainly been bad enough to get taken off the Pittsburgh Steelers. And he doesn't have a new contract right now from the Cowboys because they know we give this guy a bunch of money, he may go crazy. And so if George Pickens gets that kind of caution, Rashee Rice certainly should be somebody that you shouldn't be thinking about resigning, no matter what he does this year. I think he's past the expiration date.
Shouldn't be thinking about, you say, but clearly they are. right? Like, I mean, if you weren't thinking about re-signing him, he wouldn't be here. You would have released him. The fact that he's on the team, like, I know a lot of people have it in their head, and I'll say that I even felt trapped in this early on, this idea that, well, you know what? Yeah, but this, I mean, sure, they're going to keep him because they can play him, and that's kind of what the Chiefs do, but no way they re-sign him. And no chance. No chance that that's their mindset. I do think it's a very difficult. Sam and I talked about this on the show a little bit today, Jeff. I do think it's a difficult needle to thread to find where he's good enough that you want to keep him. Like, I do think the first thing is he's got to be good at football. He's got to be available and good at playing the position first and foremost. It's not that that's more important than being a good human being. We're talking about signing a football contract. So you have to be good at football. And then you have to, after that, it has to be a scenario where the Chiefs would be willing to give him more than he could get someplace else. And so I don't know what is the scenario look like that brings Rashee Rice back in a Chiefs uniform for 27?
Oh, I mean, he'd have to be a Pro Bowl level player to start the conversation. And I would argue that if they didn't want him back, I don't think that's a matter of him being cut as a way of saying that. He's got tremendous value right now because he's dirt cheap. You know, he's been in your system for 3 years, and you know he needs to play his butt off to get a new contract. So he's probably never going to be more valuable than he is right now.
Who else do you have?
What's that?
And who else do you have?
Who else do you have? Exactly. They've created the situation for themselves. So I don't think he's capable of those kind of numbers of being a Pro Bowl player. So that's one way to look at this. But two, I think Sam's right. His leverage is just desperation. That there's what did Zay Flowers get $34 million a year? You think he's anywhere close to that kind of contract, that kind of value?
No.
Yeah. And so why even mess around with him? Why not just go out and just cut your losses and find somebody who can help your quarterback be the best he can be for the next 3 or 4 years? It's just, I don't see where it's even to re-sign him. I don't see that's a good strategy to help your quarterback be better.
Well, the scenario is, Jeff, what if you still don't have an answer next year? I mean, and then like you're going to get in a situation where you feel like you've got leading the team in receiving this year. No. And like, I don't think Rashee Rice has had a good camp, and I'm still going to be picking him to lead the team in receiving. But to me, that plays your way into a tag, not a long-term deal. I just don't think the Chiefs mindset, like, can you rebuild the trust that you've lost with him in a year? I don't think you can, because the only way to rebuild the trust is for him not to appear in non-football stories. And is a year long enough to say, okay, he's completely figured this out? Because here's the deal, is it's every off season that this pops up. It's not stuff during the team. I mean, the coaches like him, his teammates like him. It's part of the conundrum that they have in trying to explain this situation, is because they like the person. It's the off season when he's away that this becomes an issue. So that off season won't have materialized yet by the time you have to make this decision about what to do with him. And I can tell you, if he makes any sort of other headline before you have to make the decision's made for you.
Yeah. But here's how, and this is not apples to oranges here, but the Philadelphia Eagles were putting it with A.J. Brown for 2 years. And again, not a guy who's been to jail, had off-field problems, but he was a pain in the butt on the field. He was driving people crazy in the media, in the locker room. And they said, screw it. We're going to trade you. You got a big contract. You're a best receiver. You've been a Pro Bowl guy. You've helped us win championships. We'll go draft Mekhi Lemon. We'll go get Dontavian Wicks. We'll go get Hollywood Brown, and we'll make it work. Like, teams do this all the time with players who are much better, as someone pointed out about George Pickens, players who are much better than Rashee Rice. And so I don't even know why it's even a debate.
Well, I'll tell you why it's a debate. I mean, I think I'll circle back to what Sam just said. A.J. Brown is there. He's kind of the exact opposite of Rashee Rice in the sense that he doesn't get in any legal problems. There's no jail and there's none of that kind of stuff going on, but he's an insufferable pain in the ass on the sideline and in the locker room. And that's where like Rashee Rice is not, right? When he's in Kansas City, when he's with the team, to Sam's point, they like him. The organization likes him. They think he's an affable guy. He gets along with everybody. He's not, trying to bully young players or crap like that. And so he is this enigma. He is a disaster when he leaves town. But when he's around, like this is real simple. Like, and I don't think you can tell him to do this, but like what it would have taken for me to like be like, okay, I'm really open to the idea we might sign him. leave Dallas, spend zero time in Dallas, move to Kansas City, move down the street from the stadium, spend all your time around the stadium. But that's not happening because there is still, while he sits up there and lip service, I think Sam's point about him saying all the same things that he said before, he knows what people want to hear up there. He knows what the expectation is. He's a bright enough guy to understand that, okay, I know what the role I'm supposed to play here is. The role he's supposed to play when he leaves the building, though, is guy who cares more about football than all the other crap. And that's not who he is when he leaves this place. And so to believe that he has changed, and I'm with you, Jeff, I've always said I don't even want to be the second team. I want to be the third team. I want the guy to leave, go have to play, because usually the second team's like, well, we can get the talent out of him. Yeah. Then when he bombs the second time, nobody wants him. You can swoop in for super cheap, and that's when you get a chance to rebuild him. And he's desperate, thinking like
Randy Moss style.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's exactly it. I mean, he was great with the Vikings. He got to the Raiders. It was a disaster, and then he's like, oh crap, my career's in trouble. I got traded for a 4th round pick. Like, I got to go here. And you get in a good environment, and he takes off. So I do think if he were like, I'm out of Texas because it does not work for me down there. I have to leave because this is the most important thing for me. And that's not what he's done. And so I expect it to be more of the same. I expect him to play good football as long as he's healthy, which, Sam, you brought up a good point. I'm not sure how healthy he is yet. Hopefully he'll be 100%. You brought that up earlier today on the radio. But I don't know how I could buy anything he's saying. And we're hearing the rinse and repeat of last year. He's going to go back to the same place he went back to. I don't know how you could put yourself on the line. I mean, you could try the Tyreek Hill $0 guaranteed thing, but I suspect that somebody out there will guarantee some money if he has a good season. And you're not offering unless he has a good season. Yeah. So any conversation about offering him a contract starts with, well, he just had a good season in 26.
Yeah. Well, and I would say, I keep making this point, like, he needs to be a good player. He needs to be an ascending player or a potentially great player before you're even talking about what he has to do to get a new contract. Like, to me, this guy has made more hay off a 900-yard receiving rookie season in 3 games 2 years ago. Like, that's his resume right now that we're talking about. It's not, he had an 80-catch, 1,200-yard season, 10 touchdowns, whatever. It's like they've slapped together, pasted, copied and pasted, cut and pasted his 3 years in the NFL together to make it sound like he's worth this conversation, and he's not.
Yeah.
Well, I would point out other differences in, like, George Pickens. The other difference, because Soren's right about the off the field versus in the locker room difference. There's one more difference. The Cowboys have CeeDee Lamb. Yeah. They can wait out George Pickens. The Eagles have Devonta Smith, and you mentioned they drafted Lemon too. Like, they feel like they have other options. The Chiefs have cornered themselves after doing nothing until the 5th round, and they're fortunate that it looks like the 5th rounder is going to produce. But waiting until the 5th round to address this position at all, while actually losing your leading receiver from a year ago, to where they've cornered themselves into needing Rashee Rice, not wanting Rashee Rice.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I understand that they want to give second chances and all that, but I mean, I don't know why you would, there just is nothing that's different this time. I mean, I can't see the scenario where, I think literally the Chiefs were the only team that would take a shot at Rashee Rice or take a shot at Tyreek Hill at that time, and so the unguaranteed contract was the way to go. There'll be somebody, if the Chiefs deem it worthy of offering any kind of contract, somebody will give them guaranteed money. I mean, do we agree with that? That not all of it guaranteed, but there will be a chunk where I don't think the Chiefs should guarantee $1 single in this contract.
You can guarantee the first year, I think. I don't think you can do anything beyond that. And the reason I say that is because that's the franchise tag equivalent.
Yeah. I mean, but I still wouldn't do it. I mean, I wouldn't guarantee anything.
Yeah, it's even hard to find a comp for him because so many of the guys we're talking about who are getting paid are talented guys who've had maturity issues. And so he's not that level of talent. But then there's these guys like the Hollywood Browns, like the guy who went to New England, Romeo Dobbs, who he's in that category. And those guys stick around, but they're like number 2 receivers. And maybe that's what if he's willing to be a number 2 receiver somewhere and get number 2 receiver money, which is probably like $20 million, like, I could see that working, but he's not sniffing $30 million plus. anywhere in his
how could you give him 20?
I think 20
that's where the market's at. I'm saying, what's Hollywood Brown getting? I think he's better than Hollywood Brown. Like, what's he like a veteran receiver? It's like Stephon Diggs just got $12 million.
Well, Hollywood Brown didn't get.
I'm saying he's better than Hollywood Brown. So that's what I'm saying. It's hard to figure out what his market would be because there's very few players in his category who don't have the great numbers and have had off the field problems.
I agree with the statement that it's hard to figure out his market. I think it's damn near impossible. And I think it just takes one doofus Cleveland Browns to screw it all up and to grossly overpay. And that's where I think there's, a pretty wide variety. I mean, but to your point, Hollywood Brown, 1 year, $5 million contract, 3.7 signing bonus, $5 million guaranteed.
Yeah.
So, if there's one team out there that's like that, and the Chiefs should know that next year at the Combine, then tag him and trade him and get something for him.
Yeah, but if you tag him, if there's a team willing to give him, like, what is the franchise tag at wide receiver?
It's expensive because it's obviously the average of the top salaries. So
I think it's like 28.
That's what I'm thinking.
But the franchise tag is built actually for the retention of players. But it just seems like such a natural fit in this situation. If he produces, this is all under the hypothetical he produces, because you don't trust him long term. And so, like, in worst case scenario is you're eating it for what, half a year?
27 million plus, 27.3 was the franchise tag for wideouts. And I mean, I the season you would have to go 27 million. Because I think that's the fear. That's why when I say what would it have to happen, it is threading a needle, because he's got to play well enough that you want to give it to him. I mean, like, if you put a tag on him for 27, what would you go? Hey, who wants to trade for him? Not me.
Well,
right? Because that 27 million he's guaranteed 27 million. So any multi-year deal you do with him, that's where the guaranteed money starts at. That's where the negotiation is. So if you're like, okay, we're going to tag him and we're going to trade him to you, and you're the other side negotiating with his agent starts at like, well, we need 40 guaranteed. We need 50 guaranteed. Yep. We need he's going up from 27 because they got 27 in the bank.
Yep.
So I think it might be, difficult for the Chiefs to swallow, like, oh, we tagged him and now we're stuck with him.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I said you figure that out at the at the Combine, like you did with L'Jarius Sneed. I mean, I don't know that the Chiefs were going to tag L'Jarius Sneed until they knew they could get better than the back end of the third round for him.
He would need to get what Christian Kirk got a few years ago when he came from Arizona and went to Jacksonville, and he got like $18 million a year. People were like, why are they paying him this? Because they needed a receiver. Yeah. And so it's going to take that kind of, like I said, a losing franchise looking for somebody to come in and help them right away. And those guys do exist, but the market is so top heavy now. These guys are around 35, 40 million plus, that to find a guy $20 million, you look at who that is, and it's like, it's usually a guy like a Mike Evans type player, who's an older guy, who's accomplished, who's still decent and can help you.
Let's also remember to point out, like, he's got to prove that he can play.
Yeah, he's got to play 16, 17 games. I mean, he can't be a guy who's playing 11 and you say, whoa, but those 11 games, like, he's got to play. He's got to be available.
Yeah, and I think most of us would say, I mean, you don't think he's at 100%, do you, Sam?
No, he doesn't look 100%. Let me put it this way. I hope not. I hope the guy we've seen in camp is not 100%, because he hasn't looked himself yet in camp. He's looked. I think he's building toward it. I think he looked better today than he looked last Tuesday. But he still hasn't looked like himself yet.
Yeah, I think that's I'll come back around and say again, the football part. He's got to be good at the football part of the equation. All right, so got a lot we want to get to. Trey Smith missing practice. Kahlil Benson working at guard. The Chiefs bringing back Emmanuel Ogbah. We'll do it after you hear from our friends at Italian Delight. Italian Delight was the first restaurant to bring true New York-style pizza to Kansas City almost 50 years ago. They sell whole pies or pizza by the slice, or enjoy their classic strombolis, calzones, and sausage rolls. Sandwich lovers, check out their lineup of hot and cold subs, the combo, the meatball, or the Philly cheesesteak, just to name a few. And don't forget the pasta, their famous lasagna and classic chicken Alfredo, always hit the spot. And if you're hungry for lunch, check out their daily lunch specials, starting at under $10. Italian Delight can even cater your next work function or party. Dine-in, carry-out, or delivery, it's Italian Delight. Located just 3 minutes east of Kansas Speedway at 8145 State Ave in KCK. Check out the menu and order online at ItalianDelightKS.com. Kansas City's own Italian Delight. If your property needs asphalt or concrete work, Gann Asphalt and Concrete is ready to help you. From parking lots and drive lanes to sidewalks, curbs, patching, seal coating, crack filling, and repairs. Their experienced crews handle projects of all sizes throughout the entire Kansas City metro. Whether you're fixing problem areas or planning a larger paving project, Gann focuses on quality workmanship and dependable service from start to finish. No matter what shape your pavement is in today, they can help improve it. Request a free estimate and learn more at GannAsphalt.com. Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lots. Trey Smith missing practice. Sam, where should the concern be? And Andy Reid's gone out of his way to minimize his absence, but it is a hip. What's the concern level there with Trey Smith?
Yeah, I mean, my understanding is that other than Omar and Lott, none of these Chiefs injuries are considered long term. I do think, when a guy's feeling it enough that you send him to a specialist, that's not nothing.
That's what I heard too. Yeah.
And then the second thing I would say about it is they didn't just plug in Mike Caliendo at right guard. They shifted around their entire right side of the line, which also is it's just not the typical path you take when you're expecting a guy back in the next day or two. I mean, he is working off to the side a little bit, but like I said, I mean, I've been told that the expectations will be shorter rather than longer, but I think there's some concerning elements, I guess I'll say, outside of the words.
Yeah, where's your concern level? I mean, he said he's going to see a specialist. And he said it kind of like, but feeling good about that and everything. You're a specialist. Like the trainers can't just be like, yeah, it's a little sore. We'll put some ice on it. You're going to be good. You went to see a specialist. That's concerning to me.
Well, yeah, because a specialist indicates that it's something more mysterious, right? It's not as simple as something that a trainer could figure out or even a team doctor could identify. And so that is the part that would worry me. And let's be honest, like this team, Andy Reid has had a history of very cryptic medical conditions lingering and lasting much longer than many would think. Eric Berry always being exhibit A of that. And so, yeah, I also agree with Sam. Like when you're talking about moving your suddenly prize, undrafted free agent, tryout free agent rookie into a guard spot, like that tells you, okay, we got to figure out who our top 5 guys are. And it means Kahlil Benson is one of their top 6 linemen and has made this team. But it also tells you that there's some concern about what this would mean. One, that their interior offensive line is not very deep, but two, that
it's not.
But two, we need to have our best option in here if he can't play. So to think about getting him ready for that idea of being in that situation tells me it's probably a little more serious than just, he'll be back in a couple of days.
Early on, happy to take the Chiefs at their words, but if it lingers, when do you get concerned that he's not back, Sam?
I think if he completes the rest of the time in St. Joe, which, I mean, look, they go tomorrow and Thursday, day off, preseason game, day off, 4 days in St. Joe to wrap it up. And then you're back in Kansas City. And if he's not back that first day in Kansas City after the second preseason game, look, Trey Smith knows the offense. But you are asking him to play next to a right tackle that is going to be unfamiliar to him. He would have played a little bit with Jalen Moore a year ago, but it seemed like when the job was just about right tackle and not an opening at right guard, it seemed to be Kahlil Benson's job to lose. And this situation, I mean, this is going to sound contradictory to my thoughts on the Trey Smith contract, because I said this isn't an important enough position to pay this kind of money. The value of a replacement is pretty large here. Jeff mentioned, it's a sign that their interior's getting cooked. And so, like, I'm talking about their backup, their number twos interior. And, like, those are the guys that would be stepping in for Trey Smith. I don't know who it would be. I don't know, because Kahlil Benson has struggled at right guard. He should. It's not his natural position. And now he's a first-time NFL guy trying to learn what a new position is like. Like you'd expect that guy is going to struggle, but he's struggled more at right guard certainly than right tackle. And I think Mike Caliendo has struggled. And Norzad I think has probably been the best of that bunch, but it's not been a strong competition to be the backups at the interior line positions.
We haven't heard Esapole's name mentioned.
Well, he's tackle. I mean,
but so was Kahlil Benson. And Jalen Moore was last year as well, and he would work at guard last year. I get that, but I mean, if you're talking about desperate times, and
maybe it's not desperate times though, right? I mean, maybe it's not.
Sounds like it the way you just described the way everyone's playing guard.
Well, if you're missing Trey Smith into the season, it would be like that'd be a situation. Do you remember it was it like 2 years ago that I think it was the AFC Championship game with the Bills and Chiefs? And it was Ed Oliver was just taking it to Caliendo during that game. Like, you have one weakness on the offensive line, they'll find it. And so I do think it would become desperate times if you went in with this group with Trey Smith out for any serious time.
Yeah, it'll be. I mean, I do agree with what Jeff said that he's on the team, right? But does this mean that they gave him a long look at it, but Jalen Moore's been the right tackle along? We mentioned the depth chart; he's listed there at first on the depth chart. Has he actually been the right tackle all throughout this, and it was just let's give Kahlil Benson some reps?
I really think Kahlil Benson is in the right tackle race, but at the start of training camp I said that this looked more to me like a race of searching for a right tackle rather than having two bulls fighting it out. I just thought it looked like, whoa, you're not really confident in what you have there. And I still think that could be the case, but tiebreaker goes to the guy who's under a really cheap number for next year, who you feel like could still be improving as the season progresses, as opposed to the guy who you feel like you've already seen a ceiling.
And this is what preseason is for too. I mean, a lot of the stuff will be settled when they're facing other teams and being able to evaluate these players in that category. But, Ben Williams just hit on what I was thinking. Good thing they drafted Garrett Nussmeier in the 7th round. Good thing they spent a draft pick on a quarterback.
Well, I mean, late seventh rounder. I mean, the other guys they wanted, the other guys they were thinking about, they draft, they sign anyway. I don't know if that's the spot.
I'm just joking.
The problem is when you go back to it, they had too many positions to address, right? I mean, that really is the crux of it. Is like, there were other positions we were like, wait a minute, you didn't get a receiver in the first 3 rounds. Wait a minute, you didn't get this. Like, they had a lot of positions to address.
They did.
They had starters to address before they can consider thinking about backups.
Well, I mean, I would say that Mansour Delane better be good, because it's some of the picks that you move for Mansour Delane is where you could have addressed some of these situations. That's the real kicker. I mean, Nussmeier in the 7th, whatever you're going to grab in the 7th, you're getting the same thing to sign in the end. I mean, I think every personnel guy tell you the 7s aren't any better than what we're signing for UDFAs. It's just the guys we don't want to have to chase around and compete for. They got to sign with us when we take them in the 7th. But I do think it's a fair point when you talk about they had too many needs and they gave 3 picks to draft 1 guy. I mean, and right now he's not 100%, and that's a problem. That's an issue. Defensive end, they've thrown a lot of resources at defensive end. We've talked about Felix Anudike-Uzomah at least being out there, which is a start. Ashton Gelati missing time, but they like Ashton Gelati. Somebody's got to go opposite George Karlaftis, and now they bring in Emmanuel Ogbah. Going back to his early days when he was a first-round pick with the Browns, wasn't he? Or was he a second? He was a second-round pick, 32nd overall, though. In 2016, that must have been the year that the Patriots or Dolphins lost their pick. Anyway, he went number 32 overall. His sack totals by year in his career: 5.5, 4, 3. Has 5.5 with the Chiefs. Then goes to Miami, 9, 9, 1, 5.5, 5. Last year, 1/2 of 1 sack with the Jacksonville Jaguars, and he will now be 33 years old. What are they getting in Emmanuel Ogbah, Jeff?
Well, after that lead in, I don't know where to take it. It's hand me the baton with a big old pile of poop in it.
Well, I mean, he played in 13 games and started 3 last year for the Jaguars, so it's not like he only played 2 games.
Look, I would say, I think here's the positive. He's a veteran. He's been around, and that there's a lot of guys in that room who haven't played a lot of football in this league. And so that does help. I think he can show people how to be professional. Am I expecting him to walk in here and turn into Jadeveon Clowney? No, I'm not, because he's never really been that, except for a couple of years in his career when he came close to 10 sacks. So they had to find depth somewhere. Spagnuolo said today he's always liked the guy and he knows his system, and so that's the value he brings to it. But it's someone mentioned this in the chat room too. Like, is our Mason Thomas doing anything? We keep talking about Peter Woods. I haven't heard anything about him.
Flashed occasionally. I mean, he hasn't had the same consistency as Peter Woods. And look, I thought Peter Woods was better last week than he's been this week. I think you're going to see that with these rookies, to where it's going to be an up and down ride.
Yep, as rookies are.
I think one of the things, he did have a big bull rush against Josh Simmons one time that got a lot of run on some of the videos that are out there. But no, I don't think we've seen where it's like, oh boy, like the big guys who have had their moments are Cyrus Allen and Peter Woods, right? Those are the top two guys. And then maybe Kahlil Benson's third out of all the rookies. I mean, I don't. Yeah, am I wrong? Is there somebody else who's flashing amongst the rookies, Sam?
No, but I think. I mean, first of all, this entire class hinges on what you get out of Mansour Delane, who is still in a yellow non-contact jersey, and maybe that changes before they leave St. Joe. We'll see, but I think if you ignore that, which you can't ignore that pick, I think you probably feel pretty good about where your rookies are. I mean, Peter Woods looks like a contributor. I think R. Mason Thomas will have a role on the team.
I don't know. I hope I was really hoping he would flash a lot. And
well, here's actually the deal to me with R. Mason Thomas. He's the exact type of guy that Josh Simmons should want to match up against, right? I mean, Josh Simmons is playing at a weight where he's going to be about as quick as any offensive lineman in the league. Like the type of guys who R. Mason Thomas should want to go against are like the Will Campbells, the guys who maybe don't have the arm length and aren't quite as quick. Like the guys who are just big, Orlando Brown, like that's the type of guy who I think R. Mason Thomas would match up great against, because he's going to get around the edge. Like Josh Simmons is tough to beat on the edge. I mean, his footwork is great. He's quick. And so that's a tough matchup for R. Mason Thomas when he matches up against him in one-on-ones. I don't know if I think I'd be worried if he was cooking Josh Simmons regularly.
Yes, that would be scarier.
You know what, Sam? This tells me that Soren was starting to feel nervous about his bold prediction about 4 rookies making big contributions. And if he had said Cyrus Allen,
I have that? Did I have
Benson,
that as a big?
I think you said that
something along those lines.
At some point along the lines after the draft. We had a conversation, didn't we, Sam? You remember this?
He had lots of sacks. Everyone was over on the sacks, I think.
I thought it was the rookies. You wanted 4 rookies to come out of here and doing something this year to help this.
That's right. What did I have the Chiefs with? 90 sacks this year, something like that.
Great. Yeah, 85 Bears.
Yeah, it was a big total. That I'm expecting, and the rookies are going to have to contribute for sure. Absolutely, looking for a lot. Getting a lot. I think the number was it 9.5 sacks from the rookies.
Something like that, yeah.
I thought it was 1 rookie, wasn't it?
No, it was no. Come on, come
on. We take these things, don't we?
Yeah, we do, and I have them. I mean, I can start searching through. I got to go back to where it is. I'll look at it, but I remember saying like, okay, you get 1 from Kennedy on a blitz. You get 1 from, I stacked it all up. It's 1 here, 3 there, 3 there. On how I was getting there. So yeah, settle down. Okay.
It's early.
Settle down, Jeff. 3rd down in the red zone. Sam, you wrote about this interesting piece in the Star, how bad they were. That is something that would have to get better, right? Like that is the focus. I'm curious. The one question I had after reading it was, and you gave a lot of great numbers on, how far down they were and how that, those are 3s. If they convert at just a league average rate, and that's 4 more points. But I mean, how much is the cure, since they don't have some new wide receiver to do it, or some big another star left tackle or right tackle to plug in there? How much of it is that they just need the run to be a threat, and that will open it up?
Yeah, that's part of it, but I actually view Cyrus Allen as a bigger factor on third downs, because teams play more man-to-man on third downs than they do on first and second down, because they're usually shorter distances, and like you can't play soft coverage on guys. You're playing press. The Chiefs weren't good against man-to-man last year. Travis Kelce wasn't great against man-to-man. Rashee Rice wasn't great against man-to-man. Xavier Worthy wasn't great against man-to-man. And so you had a lot of I thought what stood out to me the most when I dug into the numbers was how frequently it was a Patrick Mahomes sack or a Patrick Mahomes scramble. I mean, they ran 32 plays, 32 third downs in the red zone last year. On 6 of the 32, Patrick Mahomes got sacked. On 3 others, he scrambled, and 2 of those 3, he didn't get the first down. So 8 times 25% of the time, your quarterback is getting tackled shy of the first down, and you get 1 first down out of it. And then you pass 23 times, 10 completions, only 6 of those reach first downs. So you're converting third downs in the red zone at a rate of 21%. And that's what I mentioned, like you said, Soren, in the piece, is if you even converted a league average rate at like 40%, that's an extra 6 times where you would have gotten 7 points instead of 3. And you lost 5 games by a smaller margin than that a year ago. I mean, that could have been the difference between going 6-8 with Mahomes of going 8-6, even 9-5 with him.
And it looking real different when you come into the you're at least alive coming into the final 3 games that are there. Yeah, I think third down is critical, but I think when you're not good at third down, not being good at third down is the symptom. Finding the disease.
Oh, totally agree. Yeah.
And I think that's. I'm not saying you were going somewhere else with that, and I think the hope is that running the football will be their elixir. One, you can just run it and get it, but also the threat of the run will open it up. I mean, third down is a must, Jeff. Like, that is going to have to be better for this team.
Yeah, well, and the red zone is a whole different conversation when it comes to third down, because this is where, and it really, I don't know if this was part of your article, Sam, but like, this is where Travis Kelce.
Thanks for reading, by the way, Jeff.
Yeah,
thanks for
I'm not paying no 99 cents for the star, man.
I don't know if you don't have to. You don't have to read it. Just at least click. Yeah,
I can't access Sam's stuff. Every time I try to get it, I get the big, wall showing up in front of on my phone. So, I love you, Sam, but I'm not spending no money on your paper. You can just tell me you can read it to me over the phone. So like
terrific.
Just send me the copy. I'll read it before you send it to the editors. But it's a fair point. It was an interesting concept. And the point I was going to make is that usually in the red zone, your tight ends matter more, right? Because they're more bigger and physical presences. And you look at like a team like Seattle, for example. I don't know what their third down red zone rate, but I bet it's pretty high, because when they get in the red zone, they can throw to guys like AJ Barner.
Wow.
This is where,
did you walk right into that one?
It's where it kills you. It wouldn't hurt you to read a little bit.
Okay.
So,
all right.
Of the teams that finished in the bottom 11 of this category, only one of them made the playoffs last year. Like, there was a major correlation with your overall success and how good you were on third downs in the red zone. And the only team that finished in the bottom 11 that made the playoffs was Seattle, and they were 30th in the stat.
There you go.
Yeah.
And they won it all.
They won it all. So, like, what are we wasting our time with this?
So I'm gonna change our slogan to "Read the Star, Save Yourself the Embarrassment and Conversation."
Read the Star, be a star.
Oh, I like that.
I actually kind of like that. We should use that one.
Yeah, I like that one.
Okay, give me a copy of the paper for that.
That's good.
I was going to say Travis Kelce's route running, because he's very much a feel, got to find my way. It doesn't work in the red zone as well. And so if you don't have other weapons on the outside who are bigger, or at least like a Cyrus Allen type guy, hopefully he can be this kind of player who can separate fast, then you're limited in what you can do. You can run it, but defenses know your options aren't going to be plentiful, because things happen so much faster. And so it does feel like when I watch the Chiefs in the red zone, whatever down, a lot of it ends up being Mahomes having to make some magic happen, as opposed to something that they're calling and running effectively.
If you can run the ball, and run over some people, that helps. But if you also can really get people to bite on play action, that does open the slant. That does open things up. If the safeties are coming forward, if the linebackers are coming forward, then that I think that will help. I think that's a natural progression. But I also think it's a talent time. You're right. It's more crowded down there. You need a guy who can go up and get it. You need a guy who, to Sam's point, can really separate and leave a guy in the dust coming out of there. And, you're not just going to scheme it with some intricate pattern meshing. Like you've got to have guys that just can flat out win.
Yeah, I bet Philadelphia is really good in the red zone. I bet the Niners are really good on third down in the red zone. Am I getting closer to teams at the top of that list?
Niners are number one. Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah. By the way, the total was 7.5 sacks total from the rookies. And you're ripping me for on that, Jeff. You went over as well.
Oh, did I?
Yeah, you and I went over.
Well, let's cut that one out of the mix. We'll get that off here. We don't need to play that one anymore.
You and I went over. Sam went under.
Okay.
So there it is. I looked it up for you. Listen, you can always support the Red, Gold, and Bold by supporting our great sponsors, Gann Concrete, Gann Asphalt and Concrete, help Kansas City businesses maintain safe, professional-looking properties for 30 years. Whether you need asphalt, paving, crack sealing, concrete repairs, or parking lot striping, they deliver quality work you can trust. Visit them online at GannAsphalt.com. And our buddy Renee, who's getting catering jobs done here in the chat room, Italian Delight, first restaurant to bring true New York-style pizza to Kansas City almost 50 years ago. You bet they cater. Daily lunch special starting at under $10. You can go online to ItalianDelightKS.com. See them in person just a few minutes east, I should say, of Kansas Speedway. 8145 State Ave. Again, online at ItalianDelightKS.com. For Jeff Chadiha, for Sam McDowell, I'm Soren Petro saying thank you very much for joining us here on the Red, Gold, and Bold.